Punk Revolution now! Hey everybody, today we are going to be reviewing The Garden's newest album, Kiss My Super Bowl Ring. So, The Garden is a band that I've always had mixed feelings on. On the one hand, they are a band that kind of reminds me of Ween, in the sense that they are two brothers who really do not feel constrained by any genres and are down to put some weird experimental sounds and electronics in their music and do whatever the hell they want, which I respect. But on the other hand, they look like they're freaking models. And there's nothing wrong with being good looking, it's just they're posing in these photos like they're freaking models, like they're so marketable and just like making faces like they're trying to be sexy, and it doesn't, that's not what punk is. And if you're making music that's supposed to be punk, you don't be like freaking California model boys. It doesn't make sense. You're supposed to oppose that. But whatever. I will put my biases aside of their lack of punk aesthetic and judge honestly based off the music. Even though they're making punk and they don't look punk, it doesn't matter. Let's take a look at the album cover. We're gonna be honest with the music. Well, this is kind of a jarring album cover. It's got like a sword in a freaking pile of trash, it looks like. Well, first thing that comes to mind when I say this is like, this sword looks like it's something out of like an anime or like Japanese video game or something. And, you know, that's fine. It's just like, I feel like that was done already like 5 years ago. Like, that's not cool anymore to use anime aesthetics in your band's image. I mean, there's literally a freaking album that came out in the year 2000 that everyone's talking about that freaking anime in the cover. You're late to the game, The Garden, but whatever, it's trendy, so frick you again with being trendy, but who cares? So, enough of me trashing the band's image. So I can't help it. But enough about that. So let's talk about the music. So musically, what is The Garden doing here? Well, I would say this album is fundamentally glued together with, at its core, kind of like a catchy post-punk band, like art punk, post-punk that's kind of catchy, you can dance to or whatever. That's like the fundamental. But within this album, it touches on so many different sounds, like the opening track, okay? It has like this kind of like tired, clunky, weird, almost like Thinking Fellers Union riff that kind of like then explodes, and then moving forward in the album, then there's all of a sudden it sounds like power violence where they're just playing as loud as they can and the vocalist is screaming, so it's like, whoa, we were just having tired Thinking Fellers riff and now we're doing power violence. That's a fusion we've never heard before. And then moving forward they bring in the electronics, the drum and bass, and the freaking just kind of like digital hardcore influence too, and it's just like, whoa, and then they have like hip-hop in there too, so it's bringing on all these sounds that are like all fundamentally glued together by a art punk sound, like a post-punk, fun post-punk band sound. And that you know, obviously leaves a concern of like, oh, are you throwing too much together? Are you trying to do too much? Is it gonna be all messy? And while I will say this album is pretty all over the place, very, very much varied, I will say The Garden do manage to kind of pull these elements together in a pretty successful manner. A lot of these songs are actually pretty catchy, pretty fun to listen to, really totally enjoyable, regardless of the experimentation. So I think that's a pretty awesome achievement on their behalf. Some people might find this album a little bit too scattered, but personally for me, I do like the variety, so it works for them. And, you know, always fun to listen to these fucking models experiment with their music. Sorry, folks. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I guess the only critiques I really have for this album is, like, I feel like the second half wasn't as strong as the first half. I feel like the bulk of the most fun, exciting songs are on the first half of this album, but, you know, second half is not necessarily dramatically less good or anything. And I feel like the power violence moments in this album are feel a little contrived to me. Like, I highly doubt The Garden has actually ever listened to power violence in their life, but they were like, you know what would be experimental and cool and get us attention is if we put power violence together with a freaking post-punk riff. Woo! And they don't actually listen to power violence, but they just did it because it's gonna make them seem more experimental than they actually are. I don't believe these fucking idiots have the brain capacity to be actually experimental. I think they're fucking contrived idiots. No, I'm just kidding, folks. Honestly, enough. I can't help it, folks. I can't fucking help it. No, but for real, I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Pretty good album overall. I'm being honest, folks. I'm trying my best. I'm working on being more honest lately. So, thanks for watching, folks. 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching Punk Revolution.